Oh yeah, about to get my cinema stash rehash on.
Let's go!
What?
Oh yeah.
Podcasting from Chico, California, and home of the world's largest functional yo-yo. They are Cinema Stash Rehash. Join them as they talk movies, make fun of them, and discover how they fuel your everyday life paranoia. Let me welcome you to...
What is up? Hey, as always, we're back. You know, we're back with my friends Jason McClendon.
Hello.
And Wyatt Campbell.
What's up?
You recognize their voices, of course. Beautiful voices. For this podcast, it was my choice. I chose one of my favorite movies, top 5 without a doubt, Shawshank Redemption. I don't know how you guys feel about that beforehand. I know it's a movie everyone's seen, but it was one of my dad's favorites, and we watched it together. And I have good memories of that movie growing up. It's a sad one and tearjerker. It gets me going, and I thought it'd be a good good contrast to what we've done, and I wanted to see what you guys think about my top 5. So we're gonna start with Shawshank.
Excellent. It's one of those movies that just it kind of gives you basically the whole movie is just hope. The person Andy. I mean, we all know the premise of the movie pretty much. Andy Dufresne. He basically gets sent to prison for being falsely accused of killing his wife and her golf lover. Yep. And just gets sent to prison and has to deal with the emotional part of being in prison, falsely accused, and hoping that he doesn't get killed and terribleness all the way through.
And we're not talking about 2017 prisons. We're talking back when prisons were prisons.
1947.
That's right.
So yeah, it's pretty shitty conditions to be in a prison, in the 40s.
Yeah.
And I actually felt, when the judge was giving him his sentence, that he said, I didn't even think like in 1947 they were dealing out 2 life sentences back to back already.
Yeah.
That's like 25 years to life for one. And then you're automatically just right there 50 years, basically. Yeah. Like with Brooks and
you're
everything.
Pretty much going to spend the rest of your life in jail.
Yeah.
Like Brooks. And that's the interesting part of this movie too. I always liked is that they really go into and whether or not this is like, I'm sure it is in the story and everything, but just how like these prisoners get so acclimated to the prison that getting released into society after spending 50 years there is just pointless. Like they might as well die in the prison because that's probably where they're comfortable.
Yeah, that Brooks scene was what hit the heart for sure. It was one of my interesting scenes I had.
Well, in my opinion, it just like a quick little random question here. Well, not really random, but as watching this movie and you see how Andy acclimates to prison life and see Red even talks about being institutionalized. First he says something like these walls are kind of funny. How first you hate them and then you learn to something like be okay with them and then you learn to depend on them.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the real world, you can't function anymore. So what that question is like, do you think even though what they did was wrong at such a young age, but is that really doing anything for that person? Because you're taking their life away, but does that really rehabilitate somebody, or is that really just destroying them, which they probably deserved in a sense, but they can't come back to real life?
No, that's a great question. Yeah. Brooks comes. Red talked about it, but Brooks showed it in his monologue clip that he did. And it's a pretty good question. You have no rehabilitation at all. They're not. If they're in there for especially with the warden, because the warden was such a dick. He didn't have any. There was no rules or anything. You could have not committed a crime. You could have done everything you did right, like Red did. Through his parole, and he would never have gotten out in parole. And so no matter what happened, he would have been there for life. Whether he
Well, and he had what was his name? The guy from Highlander, Hadley. Or whatever, Captain...
Oh, you're talking about... I call him Captain Clancy. but it's Clancy Brown. He played Captain Hadley. Yeah, and he was such a bastard.
Oh yeah,
just a hard motherfucker. But there was so much in that movie where Andy, who comes in, he shows so much passion, so much ability to be able to live in those walls and somehow be inspirational to all these prisoners. It takes him a while.
Well, he's intelligent, and he's also like, he's got a little bit of a knowledge of the outside, and being a banker, he finds some leverage, and it's kind of strange how you're originally like hating Captain Clancy or whatever you.
Oh, big time! No, his name is Captain Clancy,
and then
we'll just go ahead and say that.
And then when the whole tax thing happens, and Andy's helping him out, him and the warden. It's suddenly like he's defending Andy against the sisters, and he wrecks Boggs. Well,
when you see Captain Clancy for their first time, not really. He will be Captain. Captain Hadley is his real name, but his Clancy Brown. So his name is Captain Clancy. I'm sorry, that is his name. Has a better ring to it. I'm sorry. He should have kept his first name as his last name in the movie. But when you see Captain Clancy for the first time and his hard-assed, just he immediately wants to just beat people with his nightstick, especially when right when all the prisoners and the alarm goes off and the prisoners come rushing to the gates to see the fresh meat entering the prison. And they take the bets, and I love that. Who's going to be the first one to crack that night?
Yeah,
and that is.
We all know Redhead, good old Andy.
Oh yes, and he took Andy as his thing, and he did. He resented Andy at first. He's just like, you bitch. Was kind of, you cost me 2 packs of cigarettes.
He looked uptight. He walked around and flicked stones in the air.
What did he say? He said something like, I'll take the tall drink of water with the silver spoon stuck up his ass.
Not the fat butt steak.
Yeah. Fat ass. Yeah.
Would you expect the prison guard to be any less hard ass though? I mean, it's a 19. What did you say? It was 1946.
1947. Yeah.
It's a 1947 prison. The guard would have to be pretty straight, pretty straight hard ass.
But I think it's just the fact that he was a giant man and would destroy these guys with his nightstick, I think just kind of set a precedent that it's like, whoa, fuck this guy. Even if he is doing his job, quote unquote, that's an evil guy.
Well, and he was the warden's bitch for sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
and that always.
Only when he takes
everybody was the warden's bitch. It seemed like
Yeah, when he takes fat ass out of the prison and just beats him, and he kills him. He actually kills him. So he beats him to the edge of his life, and then he dies. And so you right away think that there's no reasoning with this guy. No matter what you do,
unless if you can save him money, then suddenly
exactly that's when in a moment in the movie where he appealed to his light side, and he ended up at that point gaining a bit of trust with Captain Clancy, and he was able to right after that, man, he was taxman.
Oh yeah,
he was taxman for the whole prison.
Yeah,
and right there he gained the trust of the guards. That was a very good turning point for him in his prison life there. He became the guy that everybody can turn to for that kind of advice.
And it could have been his last. So it was an interesting choice for him.
Oh, he was 2 seconds about going over that wall right there.
Close.
And dude, I was like, I just want 3 beers apiece for me and my guys.
Well, he couldn't ask for too much, because then the guard would probably throw his ass off. So it was
imagine being on that roof though, just sitting there, being incarcerated. Some of these guys for 10, 15 years already, and
I don't drink beer, and I would have enjoyed the shit out of that.
Oh
beer.
fuck! That would have been the best time of my life next to an orgasm. So it was a moment of clarity, and he was able to show a light side of Captain Clancy there for a split second.
But then he over the awesome classical music that he found, he ruined it by locking himself in that room, and then Captain Clancy,
yes,
beat the shit out of him again, and they put him in the hole for 2 weeks. And
2 months, I thought.
2 months.
It was a long time.
It was 1 month, and then
he was pretty dirty.
Maybe it was a week.
Dirty.
Later on,
1946 prison.
No, actually, I got the whole. They called it wrong. It was later on in the movie, but It was funny that whole scene that you just brought up was an improvised scene. When he's sitting there in his chair.
And he locks himself in there?
He locks him. Well, that part was scripted, but I guess later on, as he's like, it was his idea to go ahead and just, Tim Robbins it was.
Did you know?
Did you know? Yes. Turn that level up and just let them go.
Oh,
shit.
yeah.
And
It seems like some of the scenes in the best movies are that done that way. I don't.
Oh, yeah.
The Jaws scenes that come out.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's some of the best things. I mean, you get the best stuff off them just going off the top of your head, and we all know that. And a lot of things. And just like with Captain Clancy or Clancy Brown, he was, basically a lot of actual correction officers came to him and said like they would like to, hey, why don't you pal around with us and we'll show you the ropes, and so you can be a real corrections officer and show us around. And he's actually refused them because his character was so evil,
right,
that he did not want to do shame to what a real corrections officer is.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that's the best part. It's like he's the worst of the worst, and totally just. You don't want to be there. You don't want to be there.
Cro-Magnon.
Oh man,
crazy.
He was just a dick.
Yeah.
So with all that talk about the dreary, what did you guys call him, Captain Clarence?
Captain Clancy, damn it.
Let's bring it back with a little joviality, and let's read a scene. You guys want to read a scene?
Oh
yeah.
Yes, this is a new little piece that we're gonna do here, and we've got some parts here, and we're gonna read a little scene here.
This is just for fun, folks. We're not trying to be we're not trying to be professionals.
It's called read a scene.
I took classes, so we're gonna pick the name of the hat.
We're gonna pick. Oops,
all right,
I'm throwing shit on the floor. Sorry.
So Wyatt's picking right now. Let's see. All right. I'm gonna be red.
Nice.
All right. So before this started, we didn't know what the lines were, but we knew if you got red, you had to do the Morgan Freeman accent the best you could.
Yes, you had to.
Right.
You had to try.
Challenge accepted.
So we're gonna let the voice guy try it out.
That's right. It's time for Read a Scene.
Okay, everyone, places. This is the final scene, so let's make this one count. And action.
Those checks came once a year like clockwork, and you'd be amazed how far Andy could stretch it.
Okay. Okay. So
Why does that sound like Forrest Gump?
Okay. So Alan. Okay.
I love it. No, dude, keep
That
going.
was great. It was
no.
great.
Okay, so no matter what he does, we have to we'll roll through the scene.
It's Sean. Okay. I don't want to. It's funny. We can show the laughing. I just want to say real fast that it's Sean Connery meets Morgan Freeman, and it's like Sean Connery doing Morgan Freeman, and it's the best. I should have interrupted you. You gotta try it again.
No, y'all do it. I love it all the way.
Ready?
Action.
Those checks came once a year like clockwork, and you'd be amazed how far Andy could stretch it. He made deals with book clubs, charity groups. He even bought books by the pound.
Treasure Island by Robert Louis
Stevenson. Next.
I got here an auto repair manual and a book and a soap carving.
Trade skills and hobbies. Those go under educational. Stack right behind you.
The Count of Monte Crisco
Christo, you dumb shit.
by Alexandre Dumbass.
It's Damas. You boys will like that one. It's about a prison break.
Maybe that should go into educational too.
All right. Well, there's your Rita scene.
Read a scene.
Oh no! Hold the applause.
Yeah, right. Wow. No, that worked a little bit. That worked kind of. There's some stuff there.
And now, adventures from the cupboard with Count Monte Crisco. And now, the adventures with Count Monte Crisco.
We're cooking again.
And once again, the adventures with Count Monte Crisco.
Just gonna wait to see if I can get excited.
Wait. What? Huh?
Oh, come on!
And tune in next week for the adventures of Count Monte Crisco.
But, I'm still coming off that. I can't.
That's hilarious.
All right. So seriously, though,
How do we? Okay,
this
come back.
movie, to me, I mean, has a very good amount of equal dose of good to bad shit ratio.
Yeah.
It's something. So many people that I've read about this movie calls it an uplifting movie, which I mean I can see what they're talking about when they say it's an uplifting film because of the ending and there's some stuff, but there's a lot of bad shit that happens to Andy Dufresne throughout.
A lot of suffering.
Oh shit, man! I mean, first he goes to prison, then he meets Red, which is a little bit of uplifting, but he resents him, and then Andy gets beat up constantly by the sisters, and
raped.
but. Did he really get raped? I mean, there's a few times to where it's like they don't really show anything or allude to the fact that he did because there's a few times where he's like, I'm going to put this in your mouth. And then he fights him off in some way or talks about his incredible clamping jaw. And for some reason, I'll keep that in there, but I'll beat the shit out of you anyway.
I'm pretty sure they raped him before.
They had to have, but they didn't.
I'm pretty sure.
I think it was implied, but not really.
Did they not
He just
show-
didn't suck their dicks.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe that was what it was.
I mean, I don't know. But I'm pretty sure he got raped, man.
But yeah, so he does that, and then he befriends Captain Clancy, and then he does everything, and then suddenly Clancy, breaks Boggs' legs,
Yeah.
and then the sisters.
That's what I mean. You're like, oh, dude, Captain Clancy's awesome.
Right.
For a minute.
He didn't break Boggs' legs. He broke Boggs' back.
Yeah,
That
Boggs
dude-
is
that dude
paralyzed.
was straight paralyzed.
Okay, so yeah, and then he finishes food in the straw, and
Yeah, and then
for the rest of his life, right? But I mean, there's a significant ups and downs, and he's trying to get things going on, and he finally gets the approval for the
library.
Yes,
The books, the funds.
Yes, the funds and everything, and
And he's done it
Writes and
sending
writes and
2
writes
letters a day.
He just oh man.
Calm down, Chris.
He doesn't. He writes letters and letters and letters and takes over for Brooks and
Yeah. All the while, he's becoming highly respected in the prison amongst the lifers, and he's just totally establishing himself as the smartest guy who's incarcerated, and then this is what I'm wondering, because it gets to that point where Tommy shows up, and suddenly there's a little glimmer of hope for Andy that he might be able to get released and charges dropped.
Oh yes,
yeah.
And so you're kind of like, whoa, and he gets his hopes crushed by the warden, in an interview, but also when the warden has Tommy killed.
yeah.
But it made me wonder. It's like, do you think that Andy was trying to break out from the start, or do you think that he started breaking out when he realized that he had no hope?
He had to have been digging that hole for a long time, so he had to have started fairly close when he got that Rita Hayworth poster, I imagine.
Well, yeah. Well,
That's what you would think,
when he
but it's
started.
He
like,
couldn't have started before that.
well, yeah, exactly. But I'm wondering, because it seemed like up until that point he was kind of just trying to figure out how to live there, and then when he found out he could get out, he was like, oh shit, And then when he got found out there was no hope with that, I was wondering maybe is that when he really started plotting his escape? But then they showed at the end, of course, I'm remembering this now, that when he was writing
knocks
his
off
name,
a piece of the wall and
the piece of the wall falls right at that point. So
Yeah.
never mind.
Yeah, well, that was shortly after he got all of his rock making
Yeah,
kits
exactly.
and shit like that. And,
So it
but, yeah.
wasn't at that point. It wasn't he didn't get that to break out, but then he suddenly realized how easy it was.
Yes, and that's when he asked. I think that's
That's
shortly after
interesting
he
because
asked
if you think
Red.
about it, I think about it now. I thought maybe he got that to break out, but
Yeah.
he legitimately just got it for the rocks, and he was just
Yeah.
carving his name, and that's pretty.
Yeah.
It's interesting to bring it back to that point.
Totally.
When
Rehashed it.
Andy's in prison. So here's an interesting question for you guys. I want to do a Chris question segment.
a Chris question.
So this is the Chris question segment of the day, and maybe it doesn't change anything for you, but I was curious if you guys. I mean, I watched the movie 10 times, and every time I watch a movie, I kind of look at the opposite thing, and it never showed it. So I was curious what you guys thought, if it changes your feelings at all towards Andy, if he actually killed his wife. If he actually murdered his wife. Because in the movie, I mean, it alluded to Tommy having talked to a dude, which is a prison thing, and maybe he was doing with the pro. I was just curious because it never actually shows him not kill his wife. He gets out of the car and he has his gun, and then it goes away to his story about him throwing the gun into a river.
Yeah.
And the cops sifting the river and never finding the gun. And my question is, does it change because there's a couple did you knows for a little bit later, but does it change how you feel towards Andy's character if you knew he actually murdered his wife and went to prison and maybe learned he didn't the problem, and just to say what I thought, the problem is he didn't really, there was no lesson learned. I mean, he got his butt kicked and maybe got a little sister action and things, but he didn't really, there wasn't really a lesson learned comeback action. I don't know. It was, I thought maybe it'd be an interesting.
I'll answer for myself. I mean, for me, no, I don't think it would change much. That was just an interesting dynamic to the film to find out after Tommy shows up that he actually did time with the guy that actually killed his wife. But before that, I was thoroughly enthralled with the film. I enjoyed every aspect of the film, thinking that Andy actually did kill his wife, and that was fine with me. Knowing that, it's a twist. Fine.
Did you think he killed his wife? Was that how the movie? Maybe I've watched it so many times knowing he didn't kill. I can't remember the first time I saw it. So,
well, no, they never show it, and he's right off the bat defending himself, saying with a blank stare, that didn't happen. You know?
I've never watched Shawshank Redemption thinking that he murdered his wife. Not once.
Me either. It's never really convinced me that he murdered his wife, because all the deliberation in the car with the booze and the bullets and the gun, it's he never seems like he has cold rage. He's not just showing up there already shooting. He sat there in the car before he even got out for a long time, and then who knows how long he spent outside before he decided not to do it.
Yeah, it doesn't change my opinion of him either.
He went through. Like I said, it's even if Tommy never showed up in the film, I would have been fine with it. Because I would have been I was rooting for him the whole time, and just to find out later when he did escape and you didn't know that he did, and the warden throws that rock through the poster, you're like, oh fuck yeah, and then you find out that he does. So I mean, that was an extra added cool little part, finding out that he didn't actually kill his wife. But like you said, you already knew that, and always knew that, but maybe not everybody did. I'm not saying that I didn't, but no, maybe I didn't know the first time I watched it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Good question though.
Because it's one of those films that I've seen for years and years.
Yeah,
so
it was always a part. I was into the movie before you ever figured that out anyway. So, okay, I think I have his name down, but the director of the movie was Frank Darabont or
Darabont.
Darabont. Okay, Frank Darabont. But so his screenplay was so awesome apparently that Rob Reiner, I believe, offered him $2.5 million to buy the script so he can direct the movie. And his screenplay was that good that he's like, no, this is the first time that I can do something great probably. So he decided he wanted to take his own script and direct it himself. And even though this movie did terrible in the box office, I mean, not very good at least, I think it made $18 million, and then after all the Oscar nominations it did 10 or something. But because Stephen King actually has said that he considers this one of his most favorite adaptations of his movie, of any screenplay or of any novel that he's ever done.
It's funny that doesn't consider the one that he directed.
I know,
Maximum Overdrive, the best.
No one does that to themselves though. It's like voting for yourself for prom king or something. Doesn't happen.
But nobody does that to themselves. Directs a horrible movie like Maximum Overdrive.
He probably wants everyone to forget it. I imagine.
He's so hard to put from book to screen. I mean, reading his books was just...
Some books translate pretty well. I mean, Stand By Me was a pretty well translated book to the screen, but it was translated pretty well.
Not to get too off course, but it's coming out this summer.
Yeah, I'm excited.
No, that's true. That's true.
Creepy.
But I mean, really, and it's funny, knowing about what this movie could have been or was intended to be, but even Red was written to be a white Irishman.
Yeah.
And even they left a joke in there. The movie, it's maybe it's because I'm Irish. They left it in the script.
Yeah, why did they call you Red?
Yeah. Even after Morgan Freeman was hired for the job, they still left that.
I'm glad they did.
Little joke. I mean, it was a little pun to the fact that he was supposed to be a white Irishman, and they didn't go that route, which was great. I mean, there's a lot of really interesting facts about the movie, which is awesome. But
yeah, I was gonna say the when you're talking about the end, do we get the end when hope is something that Red has none of until he finds the obsidian stone, and then
yes.
He was very unsure. He was very wary about the journey until he saw the tree, and you could tell it piped him up a little bit.
And he was the one that had that line, "Hope is a dangerous thing,"
Yeah.
And did Andy put that in the letter too, or did he? I can't remember if he when he found the letter under the obsidian stone, he said to come meet him or whatever. But
the main inspiration for Red was the line that said I should have wrote that down better, but get. God damn it!
That thought up and vanished like a fart in the wind.
Yeah, exactly. But
that's yours.
Get ready to live, or or that one. The live or die.
Get busy living, or get busy dying. That's goddamn right.
God damn it!
Yeah. I think my most meaningful scene from that whole thing is when he put the rock hammer in the Bible.
Oh, yes.
And the warden comes in and does inspections. They toss his room, his cell, and the entire time the warden's holding that Bible. And you don't know, but when you go back and watch it, you gotta think about it. He has that Bible in his hand. All he has to do is just open up the Proverbs or something, and he's gonna see that little hammer. And it's like, man, it's such a cool. Salvation Lies Within is such a cool.
Because you're wondering, where is his... I mean, how did they not find his rock hammer? What did he, shove it up his ass?
Yeah, exactly. It's there somewhere.
Yeah.
Pretty sure he crawled out with it,
I was curious, do you think after
they found it out in the thing. They found it out.
Yeah, they found it when...
I'm sorry.
They showed the old school picture. Made it look like it actually
exactly.
Whatever.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
It was like the old style of found footage.
Yeah.
Back in the day when they just took 7 hours to take a picture.
I love that whole part though. It's like, the warden's such a dick to him, and he's like, I'm almost finished. And you already can tell the way his inflection is that he's got something planned. When he stands up and he pulls the book and the notebook out of his back pocket or back of his pants, and then he puts one in, and the one he ends up putting in the safe is completely wrong, the rock hammer book, and then he walks back, and then he shines the shoes, and then he ends up wearing those shoes back to his cell.
Yeah.
He's all preparing. And he took the suit.
How often
and
is a man looking at another man's shoes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's like, and nobody even noticed. It's like, how often do you look at somebody's shoes?
Okay, so I have a question. Do you think that Andy was waiting for a lightning storm?
Without a doubt.
For this escape.
He chose the night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even Red goes when the lightning storm happens, and you can tell, because it was perfectly planned.
Yeah.
Do you think they ever tossed his room after Captain Clarence went in that one time? And do you think they ever tossed the room again? Did he have one go at it? I was curious. They never showed them go give him any trouble anymore. But after he made a friendship with the guards and everything, did they ever toss his room again? Because
I think he was pretty much just in the green at that point.
Yeah.
And that was maybe that was his point.
Maybe they did that annually and it was expected. It wasn't a surprise thing. They just kind of they let the lifers know. Who knows? But
that tunnel had to take a long time. Not to mention...
about 17 years, I'm thinking.
Do you think he knew where that sewer pipe went?
No.
I'm curious. He's a smart man. Maybe he got some kind of,
Well, he probably walked the yard and was seen, I don't know.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Man, that shit tunnel really...
that's
shit.
That's an interesting thing about that shit tunnel is
what's the interesting thing?
The shit tunnel is a mixture of chocolate syrup, sawdust, and water. And apparently, to this day, it still smells like cocoa.
In that shit pipe?
Yeah.
So it's a literal shit pipe?
No, it wasn't. It's I guess it's a water drainage or something like that. It's not actually. They filled it with...
I heard he refused to get in it at first.
Yeah.
He didn't want to do that scene at first. And it was pretty much the scene of scenes.
And I'm not sure... So what you said is not... I'm not sure. Maybe they drained it and then they filled it with what they needed to make,
probably.
But that's and to this day till this day, 2 decades later, for it to still smell like cocoa, it can't smell like shit.
No.
So it's got to be something else.
No, dude, sawdust. It's interesting. That's an interesting combination. Chocolate syrup and sawdust.
Yeah, well, you got to get the lumpies.
That's true.
I guess,
Yeah, probably not as good at practical effects as our next episode.
No, but that shit scene was pretty good when he hammered it with the lightning and then just blew it in his face. Like, man, that takes a lot of timing. And
Did you know that Tom Hanks was originally he was offered the role
for Andy?
For Andy, but he wasn't.
He was doing Forrest Gump.
He was doing Forrest Gump at the time because that came out at
that one. I think that won Best Picture that year. Because if Shawshank should have for sure, but Forrest Gump might be a movie we do, but that'd be a boring ass podcast too. Probably.
There's a lot of funny stuff to talk about on that one though, dude.
That's true. There's a lot of lines, I guess.
Yeah. Well, even Clint Eastwood and Harrison Ford. There was tons of actors, so many. Yeah. It's kind of sad. Well, I mean, those were parts because, like we said before, that he originally read was supposed to be a white Irishman.
Right.
So, like I said, Clint Eastwood, Harrison Ford, Paul Newman, Robert Redford, they were all Pitt. Considered.
No, not for that. Brad Pitt, he was not for the role of Andy. He was considered for the role of Tommy, actually.
He probably would have been the age.
He was in the middle of filming Empire or Interview with the Vampire that
okay.
year,
at that point. That makes sense. Interesting. But no, I mean, it's... To think about it, I mean, there's actually a number of other characters, or oh my fucking god, a number of other actors that were considered for Andy at the time, and it's like, can you imagine, being, Tim Robinson going, "You're our 36th choice. Congratulations, you have the part."
I don't know. Could you imagine being Robbins and being like, "Holy shit! I just made one of the best movies of all time."
Oh yeah, but at the time it was like
he lucked into that thing big time.
It was such a.
Do you think it'd have been as good with Forrest Gump as a star? I mean, it would have been Forrest Gumpy as much, but
that's the thing. It's like that's exactly when there's so many people that are considered for the part, and you hear about this.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how he's described in the book, like because Tim Robbins has defined the role.
Yeah,
it's kind of
interesting. I mean, you watch it as Tim. Guy. Yeah, but he had a presence to him. He was kind of a cockier type of person. He's set up as the right character. Where I don't think Tom Hanks would have had.
Tom Hanks isn't as much of a smart ass.
I just don't think Tim Robbins played a brilliant part, as did Morgan Freeman with Red. I don't think any redheaded actor could have done as well. Yeah. The movie set up well, and the actors did a great job. The writing was fantastic. The dialogue was so good between every character.
Exactly. Well, yeah, it's because you've seen it 1,000 times as well. Yeah. So it's like you can't.
But it has to be in order to want to watch it 1,000 times. It has to be
it's for me. It's Tim Robbins' facial expressions, his squinty eyes, his. I mean, you can't. I don't think you can get that kind of a. From the actors that we've seen, I don't think you can get
as he gets older in the movie, you can tell they do a little makeup as well on his face, and you can tell he gets different expressions of Tim Robbins.
I mean, they do age a little bit in the movie, but it doesn't seem like for 20 years. I mean, Tim,
it might not be as much age as it is like just he looks.
Morgan Freeman looks phenomenal for however old he is, but when Andy shows up to prison, Morgan Freeman looks like shit for how old he's supposed to be. Because it's like Morgan Freeman doesn't age. So I'm wondering, does he look great as an old man, or did he look like shit when he was a semi-old guy?
Yeah. I mean,
he's amazing. I don't know.
So he looked phenomenal. Anyway.
Wyatt's got a Morgan Freeman crush.
Who doesn't?
Exactly.
Through the wormhole.
This is actually this started Morgan Freeman's narrating career. This was his first. This was his first film he'd ever narrated. I've seen all the
episodes.
Yeah.
Through the wormhole.
Apparently, there was a funny thing. He did the first voiceover in like some studio in Ohio or something like that, and when they brought it to the studio where they were filming, that it had like this hiss or something like that to it, and so they couldn't use it. So anyway, he re-recorded it again somewhere else, and they played it on set and timed their lines to.
Oh, that's right. I read that too. Like,
they timed their lines.
They had it playing when they did
like
the scenes,
yeah,
so they could flow with his narration.
Yeah, that's like kind of an interesting aspect of the film, really. But,
I didn't know that. That's
cool.
Cool.
I mean, there's fun facts, but like I said before, a number of actors that were considered for this. I mean, Jeff Bridges and Kevin Costner were also considered for the. And I can't picture any one of those guys playing Andy at all.
Nope. It's like, it's Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. It is what it is. No one else is gonna play that part.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny. There's actually one actor. I mean, it's strange just a tad, but I mean, that I can see that could have played Han Solo, and that would have been Kurt Russell.
Yeah,
but, that's a good segue into our next episode.
But is that because there's actually a casting reel of him doing it, or was that when he was casting for Indiana Jones?
Well, I don't know, but just for some reason, I can picture.
I feel like I've seen him doing
the way he delivers lines and stuff like that. I can see that happening.
I was thinking about it, guys. I really want to ask Alan Alda a question real fast. Do you mind if I cut away and see if he has time in the cupboard?
Absolutely. Let's find out.
I got to take a piss anyway, so.
All right, cool. Well, when you come back, I'll give him a. All right.
No, go ahead.
Hey, Alan. Alan, you in there?
Yeah?
Come out here. I want to ask you a question real quick.
What's up, guys? I was getting some rest in there.
You're always taking a nap. Well, it's good to see you.
Good to see you guys. What are you talking about tonight?
We have Shawshank Redemption. It's the
great film. Great film.
You like the movie?
Sensational, funny.
I had a question for you. I was curious. Have you ever been to prison? Have you ever been into any kind of?
Well, in Vietnam, we had prison camps there, Chris, and occasionally I'd have to mosey over there and help somebody that was sustained an injury in prison, and usually it was. I mean, they were pretty. I don't know. I mean, the prison guards they were MPs, so I knew a lot of those guys anyway. So yeah, I've dealt with prison injuries mostly.
Alan, can I ask you a question?
I'm right here, Chris.
Have you experienced life outside of Nam?
Well, yes. Because, I mean, we had cameras at Vietnam. So behind the cameras, there was bathrooms, donuts, crews. There was a key grip, too.
So you've never been... Okay. All right, thanks, Alan. Have a good one. Next time, I'm gonna have one of our callers ask you a question. Maybe you'll be a little more friendly to her.
All right. Well, I got my phone right here. It's a rotary, just like we had in NAM.
Go back in your cupboard.
Okay.
All right, just for fun, I wanted to pick I'm gonna do a surprise scene. I'm gonna pick one of my partners here, and one of you guys has to read the scene with me. And you're a character and I'm a character. Is that something you guys want to do?
Fuck yes.
All right, I'm just going to choose random. I'll choose Wyatt. I'm going to choose Wyatt for this one.
Okay.
All right, here's a script for you, my friend.
Okay.
And you're going to be what's labeled as the partner on the paper, okay?
Partner, okay. So who is this?
All right, so to set up the scene is, it's going to be Red and the warden talking when...
Oh, excellent.
Right after he escapes from prison, right after Andy escapes from prison.
I'm going to sit in the director's chair.
And you're going to direct this one. And so basically he's talking to Red, asking Red what he knew about Andy breaking out of prison. And so you're going to be playing the part of the warden, and I'll be playing the part of Red, and we will start whenever you're ready. And if you can do jazz it up a little bit, do a little accent for the warden, and see what we can do.
I want to see a little Forrest Gump.
Here we go.
Well,
what?
I see you two all the time. You're thick as thieves, you are. He must have said something.
Not so, warden. Not a word.
Lord, it's a miracle. Man up, he vanished like a fart in the wind. Nothing left but some damn rocks on a window and a windowsill and a cupcake on the wall. Let's ask her. Maybe she knows. What say you there, fudgy britches? Feel like talking?
And scene.
No, I love
Surprise scene. That's not bad.
That was perfect.
And so what I was thinking is mashing it up to the actual recording of the episode or of the scene, and then seeing how good you did, of course.
Absolutely.
Man up straight and disappeared like a fart.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead. We'll just go ahead and close this out, and we will close it out with the Dirty Minute, and we'll see you next time for The Thing.
Peace.
Later.
Thank you.
So hey, do you have good sex?
No.
Well, you should come to my place.
Seriously?
What? Let's play Barbie. I'll be Ken, and you be the box I come in. Yeah!
Fuck off.
Fine. Yeah, so I've been feeling pretty down since my vasectomy.
Ooh. What's next?
Oh, yeah.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to Cinema Stash Rehash. Be sure to give us some awesome iTunes reviews, like us on Facebook, don't forget to check out past episodes, and join us next time on Cinema Stash Rehash.